Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back once again to Fat Cat Collections. Today I got another Duxot watch for you. This is another Submariner homage, or homage, depending on where you live and how you choose to say that word, right? They're all correct. But this is basically another Submariner copy, we'll call it. Everybody and their brother makes one. It's very common to have different brands make, copies of the Submariner. And just because it's, whether you like the brand or not, whether you, Rolex, whether you, can articulate reasons why you spent money on the brand, ultimately, it doesn't really matter. It's still a very well-respected watch brand, but also a very respected watch style in the watch community. I don't think there's really anybody who could pick up a Submariner and say, oh, this is ugly. You know what I mean? And it's not really a real polarized brand, or a polarized model. With some of the Invictus, some people will be like, oh man, that's not for me. There's a nice way of saying if you don't like something, but we all express ourselves in different ways, and if you express yourself in the wrong way, as you know, I remind you it's not the way to do it kindly. But regardless, people are going to do that. People are going to be people. People are shitty, and so that's what happens. But I don't think with all those shitty people out there and all the good people, I think one thing we can all kind of agree on is that I don't think anybody really dislikes the Submariner or think it's ugly. It's a very safe watch. So that's why companies make copies of this particular watch. So some do it where they get to the point where, this word homage is now used to describe basically just copies. And it's not, and I'm not coming down on Duxot. I love the brand. I love the fact that other companies make these watches that are super affordable because I'll never spend $20,000 on a watch. I'm like a $300, maybe $500 watch guy. Now, with that being said, I'm reviewing a watch that right now is on their website for $800. Keep in mind, Duxot is trying to figure out their price point. I don't know what their sales rate is for this brand with these kind of price points. I just feel like there's a lot of options out there, and I think if Duxot really wants to be super competitive, they make a great product, plain and simple. They just have to get that price point set up where they're going to sell a lot more watches. Now, if they are selling watches at this price point, remember, price on watches really comes down to the individual. Some people actually prefer to spend more on a watch because then they can say, oh, well, I paid $800 for an $800 watch. It's like bragging rights, you know what I mean? Me, I keep it very, very, not analytical, but I keep the way I describe watches, the way I review watches, very objective. What can I see? What can I feel? What is the difference that again, there is going to be some subjective parts of my reviews, my opinions, but at the end of the day, they're all good. I very rarely have ever picked up a watch in my life and said, yeah, this is pretty crummy. I think the only watch I've ever picked up, or one of the few, is like one of these watches I got off eBay that was supposed to be a homage to a Diesel watch, a Big Daddy, and it ended up being a copy. They can't list that on their site. I was like, ooh, that looks just like it, let me get it, and sure enough came to actually say Diesel on it. That's a real garbage watch. Not the Diesel brand in general, but this aftermarket fake watch. Just really tinny, hollow everything, super cheap, but it was only like $10. So what do you expect? But with a brand like this level, it's fantastic. You really won't be disappointed. So the one I'm going to share with you guys today is this one right here. So this is their Submariner homage. They've basically duplicated the style of the Oyster bracelet and the Oyster clasp. It's not really, let's face it, whenever any watch companies comes up with a 3-link bracelet, they all kind of are very similar, right? And so, Rolex isn't somebody that really invented that. There's been other 3-link bracelets before Rolex. Some say Rolex is a homage to a 50 Fathom. So, hey, what does it really matter? As long as you like the watch and you enjoy wearing it. So this is their two-tone yellow, gold, and silver with that rainbow bezel. For a while there, these were really hard to find by any other company. Bersagar made them, Pagani. You might find a few on AliExpress. The price has definitely shot up with those colored stones. Then Duxot came out, and now they got a whole bunch of different variations. So, if the yellow, gold, and silver is not your thing, if the rainbow stones may not be your thing, totally get it. I've reviewed clear stone versions. They have like a sapphire version. Again, these are all cubic zirconians or glass, some kind of crystal. They're not genuine, at least not to the best of my knowledge or not. But, just it was a really fun way to give a watch a little more pizzazz. So again, I encourage you, click the link in the description, check out their website, and let me know what you think. Every time I look, they keep coming out with different models. And I love the fact that this company is doing different colors. It's really difficult to find watches with any kind of stones that has that level of quality. When you start getting involved in a lot of the iced out watches, you start to get these $20, $30 watches. Brands like Hello Iced are not, you know, genuine stainless 316 stainless steel. They're like just some kind of inexpensive plating, but you get that look. With Duxot, you're getting a high quality watch with the addition of stones. Now Invicta does this on some of their watches, but I love the fact Duxot is doing black. They're doing Pepsi bezel. They're doing like a citrine. They're doing clear, of course. Rainbow, kind of like with just a different pattern. I mean, the brand's killing it, and this brand is going to do really well because people love this. You know, people love the Submariner, but guys like me also want it to have a little pizzazz. So, pretty awesome looking watch. So, during this video, while I bring the watch out of the frame, I'm going to throw some pictures up there to kind of keep you guys involved. Then we'll go ahead and throw it on the wrist, and we'll see what you guys think of it. Now, specifications on this. They call these highest grade cubic zirconians. I don't know, you know, I don't know if that's true or not. All I can tell you is that without any kind of way to for grading these and no kind of rating on there, we don't really know what that means. But I can tell you they look great. You know, I mean, when you're buying something like this, if you're going to buy something with genuine diamonds or genuine sapphires, you know, you're going to spend a lot more than what these watches cost. So just kind of keep that in mind. At the end of the day, you know, I know most people can't tell the difference, right? It just looks cool. Remember, that's what about these, you know, that's the fun of watch collecting, right? They don't have to be real, you know. So, all right, so let's see. I'm not going to read the whole spiel here. Most important stuff, Japanese automatic three-hand with date. Is it a Seiko NH35? Is it not? I don't know. To the best of my understanding, it most likely is. Some folks have said, oh, they're using, you know, some Seagull or some Chinese movements. I don't think so, because if they were, they shouldn't list Japanese. I'm pretty sure this is like a Seiko NH35, but I am working at getting a spreadsheet with every one of the Dartmouth brands, every one of the movements in those watches. Most time they either say Japanese automatic, and we don't really know if that's a Miyota, if that's a Seiko. We're just not really sure. But based on my experience of movements, when I hear this turn, so the Seiko NH35s, when the rotor actually winds the mainspring, it's sort of what I call clunky. It's kind of, I believe it only winds in one direction, but I could totally be wrong in that. Just the way that the rotor kind of spins, it's not like, it doesn't spin freely like a fan would. But a lot of the Miyotas, they do. So not really sure which one this is, but you know, I'm sure you're getting a great quality movement. It is 316 stainless steel. You have some gold plating down the center links and on the bezel, of course. Do have day of the month, 40 millimeter case diameter, 13.4 millimeter in case thickness. You know, some folks, they kind of get bent out of shape if the watch gets a little too thick. I never really care. One indication that this very well may be a Seiko NH35 is just because of thickness. The NH35, you usually need a little bit of a thicker watch, and generally you'll see the case back gets a little bit larger. That's been my experience. Again, I don't know if that's 100% true. You do have a sapphire lens. It's one of the check boxes for a lot of watch guys. For me, it's not. I've never scratched any crystal, but for some folks, they really need that sapphire crystal. This has it. And you do have that fold-over buckle with safety lock and 20 ATMs of water resistance. I said it in every Duxot video. One thing I really like about their Oyster bracelet is that they actually function properly. A lot of the Paganis that I've reviewed and a lot of these other brands, when you go to unbuckle the clasp, they're really tight. And the idea in how this works is that this part is actually on a little bit of a hinge, or like a hinge. And so when you pull up on this side, it actually pivots a little bit on this pin, and that allows you to unclasp it, right? Some of the other ones I've had are super tight, and I actually use something like this to pop them off, or you can get those, I know it's going to sound a little weird, but those plastic lotto scratchers. I usually keep one of those on my keychain. Whenever I see those, I pick them up because they don't scratch the watch, they won't scratch the steel, and they're just an easier. It's easier than this because this is metal. You know, you're probably not going to hurt this using that on many watches, but you know, I don't know. I feel more comfortable with a piece of plastic. You use a toothpick, but my point is is that with the Duxots, they work properly, right? And it just seems like a very ridiculous thing that a lot of other companies like Pagani, that those are a little tighter. I'm not sure. It's just probably the way they make them. Maybe it's just part of quality control. Not really sure, but you know, it's not a deal breaker for me. But just something to think about. The Duxots work perfectly. This one does have the black face. It's more of like a matte finished black face. And then of course you have some. You do have some lume on the indices. I'm not sure which lume this is, but it reminds me of the Aragon's lume. Sorry, this camera's a little bit... I'm actually doing laundry, and whenever it goes into the spin cycle, it starts to shake. So I'm trying to hold this here on a piece of foam. So bear with me, guys. Sorry about that. I'm assuming it's probably the same lume that Aragon uses. You know, none of the lume on Invictas or Aragons are great. It's not wonderful on this. But, you know, it works. And the reason I say it might be the same type of lume is because this particular lume, and the Aragons have this too, have kind of like a greenish tint to them. Almost like what you would expect from like a glow-in-the-dark sticker or something like that. And I think if I just check this real quick, and I wish Duxot would list this, I just hope that at some point they really make an effort to add some of the information that I recommend to their site, because I may not worry about these little things, but watch guys generally do, you know. Watch folks, for the most part, are kind of like spec whores, you know what I mean? Like they need to know every little spec and know, oh, I need sapphire, I need, you know, and I get it, the 316 is a checkbox for me, it's got to have that, you know, if I'm going to, you know, for my expectation to be really happy, knowing it's 316 makes me happy, right? I mean, it doesn't mean I won't wear something that's like plated and not 316, but it is kind of a checkbox for me. I know I'm getting something that's not going to, you know, start to flake off or anything like that, or wear. Although anytime you have something plated, there is that potential. But it's been my experience with plating, when you're plating with gold, or actually like plating a color that is actually a metal, like this is actually like a gold plating, you know, there is metallic parts of that. It's different than plating something like blue, you know what I mean, or like red, or some of these colors that Invicta does. This tends to hold up much better than those type of platings. Just my experience with my watches personally. But rose gold, you're pretty safe. You know, this you're probably not gonna have any kind of issues. Again, I'm not gonna guarantee it, but my experience, I have watches that are, I mean, 20, 25 years old that aren't even on the level of this, and the plating has not worn off at all. So it's pretty durable nowadays, especially with modern manufacturing. It's even better than it was you know, back 20 years ago. So incredible watch. So that's about it, guys. Let me go ahead and throw it on the wrist. I'll show you guys what it looks like in a guy my size, my height, my weight. I'm about 180 pounds, about 5'8", and again, I have a 7-inch wrist. So this is what it looks like in a guy my size, my height, and my weight. And the reason I say that in every video is because it gives you guys an idea of what this watch might look like on you. You know, everybody's got different, you know, body weights, and everybody's different sizes and built differently. You know, I think a 7-inch wrist, I'd say, is a little above the average. I think the average is more like a 6 or 6.5. I could totally be off on that. You might be a bigger boy with a bigger wrist, but it just gives you an idea of what it might look like on you. And you know, I've said it many times, it's like a broken record with these videos, but you know, I know a 40 millimeter is not a huge watch, but it's a great, very versatile size. You really can't go wrong with a 40 millimeter watch. It's not, you know, I think anything under this really starts to not have much of a wrist presence. Something like this, like, it's noticeable. Like, you're going to see it. People are going to compliment you on it. You know, it's a great looking piece. And, you know, with the Duxot quality, I mean, you're not going to have any kind of problems. These are fantastic watches. And I've been working with Dartmouth now for probably about 6 months. I'll tell you, you know, I love seeing them come out with new designs and new styles and new variations. I'll tell you, you know, with the different brands they have, Ballast, Nubeo, RGMT, surprisingly, I've been having a lot of fun with the Duxot watches wearing these. And, you know, I do like the bigger watches, don't get me wrong, but and I'm not going to say my tastes have changed. My tastes have always been very well-rounded. You know, anytime something's new to your collection, you start to get more and more. So when I first discovered Invicta, I was getting Invictas left and right. Now, I have a lot of the big watches, so I wanted to beef up the smaller watches, because not all the time do I want to wear a big watch? If I'm kind of lounging around the house working on my computer, you know, outside, you know, on the boat, I'm not going to wear a big giant watch. I like the smaller ones. I'm not going to say the larger ones are in the way, because I don't really think any watch can be in the way. But I don't know, just for me, this is just more manageable, I guess. That's the best way to describe it. I don't want to, my mind is thinking about this guy Michael who watches my channel. And he's a skateboarder, and he rocks the Sea Hunters all the time, and he's like slammed on a lot of Invicta haters, and you know, he will basically state like, well, you're a grown man, what are you whining about the watch? And I get what he's saying. Like, a 55mm doesn't bother me at all, but I don't know, I guess it just depends on my mood and what I'm doing. You know, you can wear larger watches doing whatever you want. I'm just saying, for me personally, you know, I go through ways where I prefer small watches. Sometimes I want to wear something really big and over the top. It's nice to have the ability to do so, you know. So, very, very cool watch, and I encourage you to check out Duxot, and let me know what you guys think. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out with me for 15 minutes. I'm trying to stay under 15 minutes lately. I'm always hitting the 20-minute mark. I think we did pretty good today. Again, let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if I can help. I'm always here to assist. And again, Duxot, Dartmouth Brands, again, thank you for the generosity. I'm really having a great time sharing your brands, and look forward to more. Thanks again, guys. Have a good day.